online channel for international startups and investors community. And today our guest is one of the important players on the European startup market, CEO at Startup Ole, Emilio Corchado. Hello, Emilio.
Hello, Nelly. Hello, InnMind community. How are you doing?
Thank you, Emilio, for being with us today and for your time. And today I want to talk with you about the problems and the solutions which are available now in the European startup ecosystem and Latin America as well. But first, I think for our subscribers, it will be important to learn what you are doing. So, Emilia, could you please start from a brief introduction of Startup Ole initiatives?
Right, we are a community that we gather once per year in a major event, but we are also organizing events in different countries in Latin America and in Europe, right? In our last event, we gathered 20,000 people, more than 800 startups from all over the world. The portfolio investment was more than 50,000 millions. This means all the corporate institutions, investors coming to Startup Ole have invested all over their history, right? Not just in Startup Ole. We have many success cases where the startups raise several million euros and so on. So we are, as I said, the glue, the connector of the startups and scale-ups with the key player, with the ecosystem builders. This is investors, corporate institutions, but of course also media, universities, accelerators, incubators. So we put all them together in a very democratic event. Why I say democratic? Because I think it's the only event at this level where the ticket, the entrance is for free. Of course, it's exclusive, not everybody could get in, but initially it's totally democratic. And also very European in the sense that we were born in a European project where we were connecting ecosystems. So Salamanca, Madrid, Berlin, Dublin, Milan were connected through this European project based on the Startup Europe initiative, right? So we are always cooperating somehow with the European Commission, now with the European Innovation Council, and many other countries in Europe and also in LatAm. So this is as a nutshell what we do, and this is it. Nelly.
Thank you, Emilio. And this actually leads me to the next question. Given that usually you do this big event in Europe, one of the biggest events for startups, and it is going on offline where people can meet and network. How do you deal with the situation in quarantine when event industry is on pause right now? So what initiatives, what support do you provide for startup founders right now during these days and weeks?
Startup Ole is an event. We call it even the networking event. We are not so focusing in content. These days, content is all over the place in the internet and so on. And we thought this is important to generate such an event, because from time to time, when you go for business, you need to look at the eyes of the other guy, right? And see how the other guys react when you are talking in a very formal way on their meetings, but also in the cocktails, having 1, 2, or 3 beers. And then it's important also to see how the other side of the table is reacting, right? So this is what we have been doing for ages. Now, obviously, the situation totally changed. Remoting or work at home is something that came to stay, and this is the reality, right? It was a really complex time when COVID-19 struck the society. So, as you know, as entrepreneurs, we were also trying to react in a way that our community could get some hope, because this is not just economy. It's also, some to see the light, to see some light, to see some sign to reconnect. I don't know how you were feeling it, but for us it was really, we were 2 months ahead of our events, and then suddenly emails, phone calls, everything stopped. right? We were the ones trying to reconnect with everybody, and also trying to identify the needs and what is going on, right? And it was a complex situation, so we thought talking with the community was important to generate an initiative to mitigate or reduce the impact of the actual health situation, right? And then we came up with an initiative against the virus, and then the idea was to connect again all the key players in the ecosystem. Then we start to call everybody. The media was also supporting us a lot, because media, we are doing now an interview, right? It's really important to spread the word. And this is how we react in a way to generate two actions, right? The first one is to try to provide some hope, to shake a bit and do something, and our brain thinking about something else, not about just figures about disease or people in the hospital and so on. And then the other is, which is really important at these days, is somehow connect a new business or projects with investors and clients, corporates, and also talent.
So does it mean that you are right now connecting the dots, startup founders with corporates and investors in the remote way? How do you do it? Via email, or you have some special platform or some group in social media?
Right. We have a website where everybody can get registered. So we have two ways to participate: as a mentor or as a project, right? And then anybody could get registered. So we have a website where to register, and then we were developing and refine our tools, our software, because these days it's ideas plus software, implementation, connecting, right? So the idea was to generate a tool where we can match project and mentors, right? Based on their profiles. And we were with our team updating ourselves and getting focus really fast on developing the tools to being able to more or less automatize as much as we can in a very short period of time these databases, right? So this is what we were doing in the last 2 weeks while everybody was getting registered. And now, we are really happy, because yesterday at the end of the night, it was the deadline for registration. And let me tell you that we got independently more than 400 players registered, 237 mentors registered, and 174 projects, right? From over 20 countries in Europe and in LatAm, right? So, we are really happy because in a very short period, we were getting a lot of people feeling like supporting, the mentors. So I think it's something also to emphasize, that a lot of people want to join an initiative, want to work all together in the interest of the community. We were not just startups and scale-ups. We were also, I think it's important to bring universities and students, so ideas into this initiative.
Tell me, please, if you had a chance to analyze the major startup requests, in what aspects do they need support from mentors most of all?
When you are organizing, when you are launching your project in a special situation where we are talking about health, where we are talking about also relevant data for people, or when you are talking about ventilators, right? Working directly with patients, it's important to have into account many aspects, but also let's say what is going on in terms of law, right? The lawyers are, I think, also playing a relevant role in this situation, and we also need a lot of people knowing about health, right? To check about how how good are these solutions, and how they, in a fast way, to get implemented. If the product is viable or not, from a financial point of view, is really important, right? But I think there is now also a strong need about law and health knowledge. For each project, we will have 3 mentors. What we are doing is sending an email to them like a team, right? Where they will get in a form, they will get all the contact, and they can start to operate and connect to each other. The idea is that all these mentors have to have at least 2 video conference, 2 sessions with the startups and with the project, where at least during 10-15 minutes they work with them. We will be looking forward to generate, to analyze the output and the incomes of it.
As far as I know, you work with corporates quite intensively for a long time, providing them services and assisting in startup scouting and startup selection, in finding innovative solutions for corporate use. The question is, what is the main problem of big corporations and corporate customers in connecting with startups and implementing startup solutions?
What the corporates are looking for is something different. They are now looking for projects or solutions which help to solve the new problems. We need much more solutions, technological solutions that allow in an automated way to monitor and guarantee the health of the workers, for instance, and the quick disinfection of the environment in offices and industrial environments, right? This is a need that is right now here, right? Or imagine, for instance, a lot of doctors or all the people working at hospitals or the police and so on, they are under pressure, having really long days work, under a lot of pressure. So for instance, the Spanish Association of the Autonomous Connected Vehicle contact us to collaborate with us and to generate more and more solutions related to the autonomous vehicle, connected autonomous vehicle. Imagine that once a doctor ends working in the hospital after a lot of pressure and hours, there is an automatic vehicle coming to pick him up or her and taking the doctor or to in a safe way at home, right? So this is all the solution that we are trying to emphasize and to connect as fast as possible with the industry, as there is a new market. And some corporate told us, Emilio, there is no money for events, we cannot help you, but we are looking for this type of solution where maybe our clients will contact them and generate business. And at the end of the day, business today means generation of employment. And this is something that this is the bottom of the key of all this type of initiative. Generating employment, generating solutions, helping the people, the citizens, to reduce the impact of COVID, right? So this is what we are trying to do. Also, for instance, we are working with an association of, let's say, handicapped people, blind people, and so on. So they are also, what is the situation these days when a blind people, for instance, or a handicapped person goes to a supermarket, or for instance, education, right? All the students, as you were mentioned, are at home, so we need more and more systems for them to evaluate them in a proper way, in a fair way, or also to provide the content, interaction with professors, and so on. So there is really EdTech startups are playing a key role. So there are really many fields where to move further. And this is what we are trying to do: connect the startups, entrepreneurs, scale-ups with the right players, where there is a possibility to generate impact against this complex situation.
We make these videos in order to dilute geographical and administrative borders and to help you get closer to international investors, venture capitalists, market experts, and startup hubs, irrespective of what country or part of the world you are based in. And we need your support. If you like this video, please don't forget to put like button, to subscribe to our channel, and if you find it useful, I will appreciate if you share it with your teammates, co-founders, or social media networks. Thank you, and see you in the next videos.
So those startup founders who will be watching this video, if you have the solution, MVP or working product, which can be interesting for Spanish, European or Latin American corporate customers or social organizations, please, we will add the link to the Startup Ole initiative under this interview. Please feel free to register, feel free to pitch your product, or to write in the comments what are you doing, what are you providing, and Emilio with his team and networking partners will help you to reach out to potentially interested customers and maybe generate business for you.
We have our email address on the website, so if you send an email, we will connect it with the right people during this complex period where all should support each other.
Sounds amazing, like a tailor-made support. That is what is really needed. Another question for today, which I wanted to ask, is about Latin America and the ecosystem there. How do you support startups from emerging world in this context, Latin America, in their startup journey in reaching European financial resources, corporate customers, etc.?
Well, talking about Latin America or LatAm is a new world altogether, right? They have an interesting number of unicorns. You know, if you go to Brazil, it's a whole market altogether. Colombia, with Impulsa Colombia, they are working and pushing a lot. If you go to Mexico and those countries, there is a lot of money, like they say, plata. Okay, but maybe there's a situation in which maybe they are not so evolved. The ecosystem is not so evolved as in Europe, but there are a lot of initiatives. And you know, if you go to Argentina, there are a strong association of investors like ARCAP, or in all these countries there are association of investors, of startups, and so on. So the ecosystem is growing and growing. In some ecosystem, maybe they are not so well connected, and maybe they are in some of them, in some countries, they are looking for best practices. And you know, the region is working all together. So there are investors and corporate supporting a lot the ecosystem and working as a region. And also they are connected with the United States, obviously, right? They are in the same continent, but maybe the social politics scenario there, the connection with the United States is not the same as before. We know why, right? So that's why Startup Ole start to operate in LatAm, because, well, now the situation is really complex all over the world, right? But whenever this comes to a more stable situation, we need to think that Latin America, you know, as I say, there are several unicorns, so there are some startups and scale-up really working really well. So, you know, for them, Europe is an important market, and the same for the startups in Europe. You know, if you check LatAm, the market, we are talking about around 100 million potential customers. So it's something that we also take care into account. We also talk, when we talk about Iberoamerica, this is Spain, Portugal, plus Latin America, we are talking about 700 million potential customers. So this is why we are really focused on that. I mean, and I think Spain is playing a relevant role because we are the joint between Europe and LatAm. That's why Startup Ole is growing a lot in the sense that we are becoming a democratic, as I said before, democratic platform for Europe and LatAm to be connected. And this is why we work with several governments in LatAm and so on. So I think for all of us, it's really relevant to check what is going on in both sides and playing a role in a startup means having an eye on both great markets and checking what is going on in this big space. So yeah, I mean, we noticed that, for instance, when we were in Mexico, there is a lot of interest to connect with Europe, to have best practices, and also at the level of investors. If you have partners in both markets, like for accelerators, investors, and so on, you are able also to connect your startups and your ecosystem with the other ecosystems, and then the markets really grows very fast, because if you have your connections in LATAM, such connections know the market. If you know your market, local, regional, or European market, then having connections or partnership with key players there is really, really relevant in terms of co-investment, organizing programs, co-organizing programs, soft landing programs, and so on. And this is how we are operating. And let me tell you one thing, Nelly. For us, being Spanish, we have the same language as the most of them, or close to the Portuguese language, and also the way of talking and acting in connection with Latin is similar. So for us, is in a way, for Spanish or for Portuguese guys, is in a way easy to operate in LATAM. So this is why we are also growing in Europe and in LATAM.
Yeah, I understand this. The mentality and many aspects are very similar, and this makes it easier and more efficient. But can you give some examples? For instance, there are early stage startups in Argentina, in Colombia, in Brazil, which need the funding, which need mentorship support, and which need access to the corporate customers, potential customers, just to make a pilot together in Spain or Europe. How can they help you help them?
Well, now we are talking with several governments to bring some startups to Spain, right? Our model is easy, right? This is something that we are now working more and more. Let me tell you that in 2018 we launched 2 roadshows in Latin America, where the startup come to Startup Ole. They know the ecosystem. We support them as much as we can to connect them with investor, corporate, institutions, knowing what are the best conditions to do a soft landing in Spain. And then our plans for the future is also to take them, and right after the event, take them physically. Once they start to know and to feel comfortable, take them to Madrid, to Barcelona, and maybe to Seville, and bring them to the best spaces, best co-working space, to meet them with the investors, with the local regional institutions, so they know and meet in person the ecosystem, the local ecosystem.
Emilio, the last question for today. How do you think quarantine and lockdown will have some positive effect, at least on that aspect of international collaboration between different regions? Because usually when we speak about LATAM, when we speak about India, Asia, etc., and connection with Europe, the regional focus and the regional accommodation is really making a huge sense and huge difference. If right now everything moves online, nobody cares about borders, it does not mean if we live on one street or in different continents, we can't meet with each other in person anyway. Will it have some positive effect on smoothness of the business processes internationally?
I'm really sure there are a lot of positive outcomes out of this situation, right? Crisis by definition means opportunities, right? Of course, not for everybody, right? And I'm trying to take the positive side of the crisis, right? And of course, we are noticing in this call from let's say from our community, everybody trying to support from different angles, different countries. I said that there are projects from 20 countries, but mentors we didn't count it by. We have mentors from India, from all over the world, right? So this is something really positive. We are all working a bit more as a community. There was a saying that an investor just invest or investor likes to invest in an area, right? In a funny way, if they can go with their bike, yeah, they are happy to invest there. If they take a lot of time to go there and get back, it's complex, right? I think in a way the world is becoming more and more global. Because now we can see that there is a problem, and the problem is the same for everybody, Mr. or Mrs. COVID-19, however you want to call it. So we need global solutions, and we need our leaders thinking all together, and so on. So there are many positive situations, I think, and we are sure that all these initiatives, because there are many, there are also a large hackathon supported by the European Commission and all these things. So all these initiatives putting together many people from different countries and so on. For instance, mentors from 3 different countries supporting a project from other country will somehow generate synergies, and I'm sure that there is a lot of positive outcomes coming out of this really horrible situation.
Great. Thank you, Emilio, for what you are doing. And unfortunately, we have to finalize our discussion for today, but we will follow up with all the emails and links which you described so that startup founders can reach you and ask for the support. And I wish you great success of your initiatives and to help as many startup founders as possible.
Thank you very much, Nelly. Thank you very much to InnMind also for the work that you are doing, and also helping this initiative to be a bit more international, getting more support. And as I said, we will be also checking our emails. If anybody want to join us, right, drop us a mail so we can we will connect you with the right people to help to work all together and mitigate a bit or decrease the impact of this complex situation. Thank you. Bye-bye.